I think the first thing I would want to say is getting 1% better every day. It's a rule, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Little progress is underrated. I think that is something that has been underestimated for the longest of times, right? But at the end of the day, how can you get better personally for yourself, right? It could be in communication, it could be with improving your relationship with people. Yeah, so just self-development, find something outside the ordinary for you and, work on it or build on it. When you are a leader, it shouldn't be about what can I get from what I do. It should be what can I give from where I am.
You once mentioned the concept of a vision board. Can you tell us about what a vision board is?
Vision boards, right?
Now, if your year had a soundtrack, right, would it be God I Beg or Calm Down?
We're currently reading a book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've been reading that book and I've been laughing. I'm like, Dale, are you serious?
Yeah.
What do you mean by I'm a leader, I need to get something done, but I shouldn't scold people. I shouldn't tell them how it should be done.
To be your final word for probably somebody that would want to be smashing it the way you are doing already.
Okay, finally, right?
If 2026 offered 3 major wins that could genuinely change someone's life, which 3 would you prioritize, and how should young people plan them instead of chasing everything at once?
Okay, 3 wins, right? I think the first thing I would want to say is getting 1% better every day. It's a rule, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Little progress is underrated. I think that is something that has been underestimated for the longest of times, right? But at the end of the day, the very little things and the very small things that you do is what accumulates, right? So for young people, I think that it's not necessary for you to dwell on doing the really big things. Where are those small things that you can do that would make up those big things? Because for me, you can have maybe 110 things to do in a day, and then you start asking yourself, this is a lot. How do I get through all these things, right? But for me, I just get a pen, I get a book, I list these things down. I break them down because I know that when I tick one and I tick the second and I tick the third, gradually I'll get to the bottom of my list instead of, thinking too much about how to get a huge job done, or how to achieve something very, very huge. Break it down and you can keep moving that way. The second thing is to remain focused. Okay, so thirdly, I would say that a young person should focus on self-development, right? I think that it's a big win, right? So yes, you can have 150 things on your vision board, but something one should prioritize is self-development. It can be in different areas. Just like you asked me, aside academics, what do I do? So look at outside academics, how can you get better personally for yourself, right? It could be in communication, it could be with improving your relationship with people. Yeah, so just self-development, find something outside the ordinary for you and, work on it or build on it.
I think I like the fact that you are more the things you are talking about, because definitely you're not in their plans, but what you've been able to touch, it's pertinent for every young person, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. And you are not mentioning like just things, just material things. Okay, make sure that things is doing, you must get a car. You are talking about things that once you build them, other things would be added, as the Bible would say, right? So they are very fundamental things that probably some persons could ignore and begin to chase things. Okay, I need to get these. But thank you for sharing that once more. Given your role as a faculty president, right, in a very academically demanding environment, how do you personally decide which opportunities to say yes to and which ones to decline? And how do you say no without being offensive while still maintaining the balance that you talked about?
Okay, so as faculty president, I think that I have understood that it's a leadership role, right? And so whether I like it or not, there's sacrifices that I have to make, right? And so that's why if I don't make 100% attendance, it's okay, right? I was at a meeting 3 days ago with other faculty presidents, and we were talking about an exemption letter from the Dean Student Affairs, for instance. So I think that they also understand the nature, of our jobs or our leadership roles. And so for us, there are certain exemptions that they can make. For instance, today, SCG elections are going to start, and because we're part of the LCOM, screening starts today, and I'm expected to be a student affairs student tomorrow. However, I have an excursion this morning, that I need to attend. But so if for any reason I cannot make it, for the excursion, there would be an exemption. But so I think about it. This excursion was made today so that everybody from my class can make it. So is it something that I would want to miss? Do you get it? So yes, I could get an exemption for it because of my leadership role, and it's not going to be a problem. But at the end of the day, I have to prioritize. I have to prioritize these things. Are there things that I can make up for? Okay, if I don't attend today's excursion, can I attend it some other day? It's a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so there's screening today and there's going to be screening tomorrow. If I'm freer tomorrow, I can make it for tomorrow's screening.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So for me, I have understood to prioritize, certain things. And for saying no to people, when it comes to priority, if there are times that I need to say no, then I say no. Because at the end of the day, it's me, and whatever decision that I make would invariably affect me.
First.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, yes, choose you. I always tell people, choose you first, choose you first. As a leader, yes, you're here to serve people, but so, and again, balance. So in choosing yourself, there should always also be a balance with knowing that you are a leader and there's a place of sacrifice and selflessness.
So like choosing you does not mean be selfish, because we have
Yeah.
that trend these days where
Exactly.
my mental health,
Exactly,
I just stress
exactly,
myself,
exactly.
if it's not giving what I want,
Yeah.
I delete you,
Yeah.
and then at the end of the day, you've become a hostile, nonchalant,
Yeah,
mannerless person. And if there is anybody that exudes humility and calmness yet firm, I think it's you. So I can
think it's a
imagine.
leader.
I think it's you. Okay, you still see the humility. This one is humility now. It's not humility again. So I think it's you. So for you to be able to effectively marry these two sides, it's a lot of maturity on your end, actually.
And understanding, right? I would always tell people that leadership is service, right? Leadership is service. So when you understand that, I think that it's a communication and an understanding I've been trying to have, especially with my executives. So we've had several meetings, and if there's something that I always try to tell them or make them understand is, you guys are leaders. And at the end of the day, when you are a leader, it shouldn't be about what can I get from what I do. It should be what can I give from where I am, and we would all be happy leaders. I tell them that you would be a happy financial secretary, you'll be a happy welfare secretary when you always think about what you can give people from where you are and not necessarily what you can get from the association or what you can get from people.
I think those things naturally come when you prioritize giving, because it's even a biblical principle like give and you shall receive, right? So I think once you prioritize being selfless, not being mischievous or unnecessarily shrewd in your dispensation towards people, or maybe looking at how to take advantage of, very corny. Some people can be humble but mischievously humble, right?
That's true.
So once the sincerity is there, I think it's obvious. I tell people that there is no need to pretend. There's an aura you give when you're fake. It's people know. People, except they don't know what to tell you because they have the maturity to keep their business to themselves. But there's an aura you give when you're fake. All right, thank you so much. It's just a few weeks, right, into the semester. I think for us, it's already deep into the semester. And many students already feel overwhelmed or burnt out. What is one planning habit that genuinely protects mental health and prevents burnout throughout the year?
Do something you love doing. Take out time. People say there's no time. I see pharmacy students that read, come school through the day. They don't sleep at night, read through the night. Their weekends come, and guess what? They're back to school to read, right? So I think that can be very, very exhausting, especially mentally, right? So for me, something that you could do is take out time. No matter how much you think, there's no time to do something, ensure that you take out time to do something you like. For me, it's basketball. And for me, even when I am overwhelmed, just merely being on the court and holding a ball, I don't even need to be playing the game. It calms me down. So it works differently for different people. So find out what it is, calms you down. Sleeping, yeah. So, sleep.
Yeah.
For some people, it could be taking walks, take out time to take a walk. So it could really be anything, but so just find that thing that you seamlessly do, and really eases you, and find time to ensure that you do it.
Okay. So find something that you enjoy and add it to those things that seems to be quite hectic. Yeah. Okay. You once mentioned the concept of a vision board, right, for each person's new year. So can you tell us about what a vision board is and how students can use it to properly maximize their new year, or should I say, or any other practical tools that you believe can help in achieving a productive year that's probably slipping off somebody's hands already?
Okay. Vision boards, right? Just as the name implies, it's a board. It's a visual board, right? So you talk about vision boards and you talk about, converting or depicting your goals in pictures, basically. I think that it's the easiest thing for me to say.
Okay.
So you start a year and they tell you write down your New Year resolutions. I'll tell you start a year, print out your New Year resolutions in images, in pictures, and let those pictures tell a story that will keep you moving, right? So for me, yes, I have my vision board, right? And in fact, it's a lot. I was asking myself, Judith, the entire wall in your room has something on it. What's the plan? But so imagine waking up and your walls are filled with things. You will remember that you don't have an option but to get things done. Then imagine you taking out time to actually go through those things, go through those images. And for me, my vision board goes beyond just pictures of my goals. So there are certain quotes that speak to me. And it's not about looking at them visually. It's about reading them and reading them aloud. So I write them down. I write them down on sticky notes, and I have another board that are for things written down on my sticky notes that I paste. So yes, I have a vision board, with pictures of what I need to get done or what I need to achieve for the year. But so right beside it is also a board, that I have quotes, Bible verses, that follows me and that keeps me going. So that is that. Another thing that I've found out works. It's having a countdown. So I have a countdown to I think 165 days.
Wow.
And that's almost half of the year, right? So it's another board in my room, that I numbered 100 down to 165. And so for every day that passes, I come and I take a day.
I think you need to do like a video of your room.
I think I need to
Because
do
we
that.
need to see this.
Yeah.
Like,
So
wow.
I tick each day.
Your room is literally, I can imagine
It's
you writing like a big board.
But so for me it helps.
Yes.
Because sometimes when I think that there was a time I missed 2 days. And I woke up. So it's because I have a lot of things to do and I wake up and I'm like, no, I'm not leaving this room without going through my vision board. So I go through my vision board. The things that I write, I also go through it. And then because there's something up there that, I don't need to see and I don't need to, read, I skip and I go. But so I realize that it does not help me keep track of the progress I've made over time. So it's like, okay, how many things do you have to do today? You see, those days that I keep ticking is actually what keeps me in check. Because when I come to tick today, I'm like, oh, the day is over. Were you able to achieve the things that you set to do today? So this is not even about your goals for the year. It's about your daily goals. Your daily goals. And like I said, 1% better every day. So, ticking those things daily keeps me in check and keeps reminding me that, okay, it's not about what I want to do in 365 days. It's about the things I've been able to do every day of the 365 days that makes the impact, at the end of the day. So I think with regards to vision boards, that's how I've tried to merge, seeing things, reading out things and hearing things to myself, and then doing a daily check to ensure that no day goes without getting 1% better.
Wow. So like it means like your vision board is pictorial. Okay, like maybe you want to have straight A's, you would have like okay maybe the courses and then in pictures, and then maybe like you want to position better for marriage. Maybe like you have like a picture of somebody you look up to that should.
It can even be you in a wedding dress.
Or you in
I
design.
You know these things,
ChatGPT to actually design, give instructions on how to say it, and then you get these things done. I think I have mine, but like I said last time, I've not printed it.
Okay, yes,
after we had the discussion.
Yeah.
So God, see, it's not too late to pick up your year. You see these chokes you are getting right now, just because these are things that people say, okay, come and pay for to learn what's masterclass, acquire from Aguaya. But then we're giving this to you as fellow young persons, and how she's doing it. I've had like a little conversation with her, and I knew that no, please come and share with us how you are doing it. A colleague of ours in the faculty also has a journal that she's putting out. The journal has your name, so we're going to put her link on the description box so that you can reach out to her. I think she's giving it at discounted price. I think the discount is over, but you can reach out to her with the code favor, and then she's going to bring it back because now it's supposed to be at the rate of 6,000. But it's like a planner. It's going to be displayed on the screen right now. It's a planner that has like your to-do for each day, and the planner has your name on it, and you're breaking your goals down into daily plans that, okay, I'm going to wake up by this time, so by the time you spend time and buy that planner, and you write the plan on it, you must make sure that so let's be intentional. pick up that journal, reach out to her on the link in the description box and say, code favor, I want to get my planner, my journal for the year. And then you're just look at the picture, so demure, so beautiful, and then get it for yourself, be intentional. And then you see that although the year might have been a little bit spent, but you're still going to smash your goals. And at the end of the day, you'll come and meet me with cow and say, favor, thank you for helping us out. All right. Now, if your year had a soundtrack, right, would it be God I beg or calm down?
Can it be both? Can it be a mixture of, both?
Okay,
God, I beg you, but at the end of the day,
calm down.
calm down.
All
That
right.
is,
I think you
yeah.
can choose. You can cheat us and go get away with both. All right. What is the most underrated skill young people should be tracking in their planner, but which is rarely taught in school?
A skill. I think human relation. You know, humans, you mentioned time being a currency.
Yeah.
I think that relationships are also currencies.
Yeah, I think I heard Joshua Selman said that.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yes. He is very big on, having friends, and keeping friends. And I think that relationships are also, it should be a skill. Keeping there are people that cannot comfortably keep relationships or
Yes.
keep friendships,
Yes.
So they're meeting somebody today, you're fighting with the person tomorrow, you're doing this tomorrow, and all of that. So I think that it's something that young people should have.
Relationships.
Yes, being able to, the skill of being able to manage people,
I
exactly.
think it's a lot, right? Because somebody said that it's easier to control herds of cattle than to, control people or like relate with people, because especially somebody with a smart head as yours. So usually people would want people that they can use, and once you can't use the person, once you
That's
can't
true.
control the person, you feel like, let me give. But then life can't work like that. Your ability to be able to bend, to be able to blend, to be able to compromise a little when it's not like your core priorities or principles. Can you tell us about relating with people actually?
I'm currently reading a book by Dale Carnegie.
I saw it on your
How to
status.
win friends and influence people. I've been reading that book and I've been laughing. I'm like, Dale, are you serious?
Yeah.
What do you mean by I'm a leader, I need to get something done, but I shouldn't scold people. I shouldn't tell them how it should be done. So I laugh about these things, and I think that somehow he's a bit too much in the things that he said in the book. This is my personal opinion, though. But so I think that you can, and I think that he's going overboard with his rules and opinions, because for me, I've always thought it differently. I remember some time ago we had issues, at home with my younger brother. We needed to have him come for a meeting. He's not so small. I think he's done with his service now, but so we needed him to do something. This was sometime this year. So when I say he's not small, he's actually not small.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to my dad. My dad said they called for a meeting and he was the, subject of the meeting. And time was 11:12. I was at home by that time. And it was like getting to 1. I didn't heard anything from him. And so I met my dad. Daddy, please, what time is this meeting supposed to start? He's like 11:12. And I'm like, but it's way past the time. And he's like, oh, they even hope that, my brother shows up. I'm like, what? Is he bad? I was all over the place. I was like, no, don't tell me that. My dad just started laughing. I was saying, no, you cannot tell me that you called for a meeting. You actually called him for a meeting and he's not, and you're this calm about it. But so I think that it's my dad has learned the art of dealing with people like Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
And I think that it shows maturity, it shows understanding. But for young people, it might not be the best things you want to hear, So I think that it's a book that we should read. It might not be something that will be the easiest of you to change, because, these are things that we've grown with and they're useful exuberance, and all of that. But I think that, he has highlighted certain things, and certain skills we need to develop in order to relate well with people. Exactly. And I think that it would go a long way. Yeah, I'm almost done with the book. There are places I've laughed, there are places that said, no, that cannot be me, and all of that. But at the end of the day, there are things that I am intentionally, living and doing, especially in my leadership role. There are times that my executives do something and I want to be all over the place. Or I make an announcement, or I see something on the group chat and they respond and I just want to lose it. And I remember, and I'm like, no, you cannot tell me not to respond to these people. And at the end of the day, I just let it be. And I've realized that it has saved me a lot of struggle, a lot of strife, fighting and all of that. So yeah.
And then I think because this when you mentioned this book, when I saw the book on your status, because I almost wanted to recommend it, but I was like, I thought it was people wants to attract people, like
Yeah.
wants people to be your friend. And so she doesn't even have friends. So, but I had issues with relating with people because I grew up among a lot of perfectionists and I didn't know when it rubbed off on me. So once I start noticing some inconsistencies
Yeah,
with
with
people,
you, just
I can change people. I can change people like they change clothes because
yeah,
I actually don't have that a lot of stretching capacity when it rooms for people's excesses.
mm,
So, but as time goes on, I realized that life doesn't work that way. And I was speaking with somebody when we had started this channel, and a lot of things needed to be done. And you know, specifically Nuhu in the faculty, actually, Sanuhu in the faculty, and he said, Favor, go and read this book by Dale Carnegie. And I think that was last year. And then I was like, please, I need it. If he has to do with relating with people, I need
yeah,
it. And
yeah.
I picked it up, and the man was speaking, and I could relate it with a lot of things in the Bible. I could relate, especially when he spoke about the president, the white president.
I
You
think
know
I've
how
read
he
that
passes his
story.
court, and then
I've
he's
read that
greeting,
story
and then he
over
said
and over
to the
again.
security, "Hey, good
The
afternoon."
maids, you
He
know.
knows them by their name. I
Yeah.
could barely remember people's. I can barely remember people's name. It takes me time to relate with
Yeah.
over and over to it. And a lot of things, you know, how the other person wrote later to the bank and it was accepted immediately, and how some people would write and write it,
Over and
how
over
you
again.
relate with people from the place of their need, not from what you want from them.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
that book
It's
is
a lot.
it's
Yeah.
not funny how I'm promoting.
Yeah. No, no, no. I
everybody,
think
you
that
know.
they should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so as a young person, because we are in an like this year, they say energy for energy, aura for aura. You can't thrive like that.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't.
true.
You see. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. What is one mindset shift that every student needs to make if they truly want their plans to work this time?
A plan, you know, when people hear I have a plan or I have a goal, you know, they think of something really big somewhere that needs to be achieved. But like I said, you need to break those things down into like really tiny bits. And you getting the tiny bits done is what at the end of the day makes the entire goal a success. So I think that is a mind shift, that a plan is not a huge mountain in front of you, you know, that cannot be leveled. You know, it's something that you need to put or break in pieces and then get those little tiny pieces, you know, sorted out. And so at the end of the day, you know, everything just really falls in place.
Okay. So, in your observation, right, what do young people spend too much time on instead of actually, like, what do young people spend too much time that necessarily doesn't need their time?
I think social media. Social media is it's very very good, right? Because it's a tool for so many things. But I think that for a lot of young people, they use social media as a place for comparison, right? And honestly speaking, the people out there, you know, the posts that they make and the life that they make you see and want to have might not 100% be what they have themselves, you know. So I think young people spend too much time on social media and comparing themselves with other people instead of actually setting their goals, you know, and working on themselves to get to where they want to be.
When campus life gets chaotic, what is your go-to plan? What's your safe space at that moment when it's like you're losing it? What's your safe space?
It's God. So I don't underestimate the power of fellowship with the brethren, right? And so for me, I ensure that I have a community, you know, that share the same values as I do, you know, that I constantly be a part of. That's why I said fellowship with the brethren. So for me, when things start getting, you know, really choked up and I start getting overwhelmed, you know, just being in the midst of the brethren eases me, you know. And I don't want to start talking about mentorship, you know, but I have a mentor that I always talk to, you know. So I can't I try as much as possible not to bottle up emotions, not to bottle up, you know, things. Talk to
So you
people.
have
Yeah,
that
yeah,
to
yeah.
talk
Talk to
to.
people. Not everybody is somebody worth talking to. So that's
Definitely.
why there should be a place of mentorship. So yeah.
To be your final word for probably somebody that would want to be smashing it the way you are doing already, and you know, with their goals, somebody that probably has come to us far and feels so stuck, what would be your final word for them?
Okay. Finally, right? I would say that you need to start from somewhere, right? And I know that we briefly spoke about vision boards, but I think that it's a must to do for everybody, because at the end of the day, you start your year, you know, with New Year resolutions, and through the year, you find out that you're forgetting one or two things that you thought that was supposed to be in your vision list or in your goal for the year. So I think for the first step to do, you know, is to get a vision board. Then after getting a vision board, break down each goal into tiny bits, then get a plan for it, you know, and ensure that you keep it in mind that every day counts. And so at the end of the day, there are the little things that you do daily that would sum up everything at the end of the day.
All right, man. Thank you so plenty full much for coming on here. Your
Pleasure is
time,
mine.
your attention, your value you've shared, we can never pay for it. I'm really grateful. Okay, ma. So basically, if you had a wardrobe and you had a magic wand and you were to infuse a particular set of things in your wardrobe, would it be like jewelries and bags and shoes or like clothes?
Not bags. I don't like bags. So maybe I really like jewelries
Okay.
and I like shoes, but not bags. So
Okay.
I would replace the bags there with clothes.
High heels or flats?
Flats.
You're actually tall, so why did you say that? All right, guys. So please, thank you so much for being on here. The fact that you're still with us here, it means you're intentional about making this 2026 that year that you're going to make it big, or that you're going to be able to smash, say at the end of the year that have smashed my goals. So please, it's about the consistency. It's about the things you do daily, not even the grand plan, but the things you do bit by bit, like Atomic Habits said, that she said, and a lot of things that she has said here. Please don't just be a listener like they will say to us. Take out time to, implement these plans, get your vision board, do every single thing, the ones that really aligns with you, pick up the ones you need to pick, and then ensure that you are smashing your goals this year. And please do well to like and subscribe. Mama, please tell them to like and subscribe.
Please like, subscribe, follow us, and comment.
All right. Thank you so much for being on here. And until next time, keep being the scholar that you are. Bye.